Okay, I promise at some point I will stop making videos on Kendrick for a bit, but the guy's on a ridiculous generational run at the moment, so I feel obliged to do so. I've recalled and recounted Kendrick's 2024 on several occasions on this channel for a number of reasons, so now it's time for his 2025. We're a handful of weeks into the year, and Kendrick just swept the Grammys in every category he was nominated for, making history as only the second rapper to win record and or song of the year, and Not Like Us becoming literally the most decorated single rap song in Grammys history. The crowd belted out his A minor bar, Taylor Swift was about to bust out into a crip walk, it was just crazy. And also incredibly refreshing. Time and time again, the Grammys has proved to be widely out of touch with black expressions of art and music. The fact that to this day, the only rappers to win Album of the Year is Outkast is a testament to that, given the fact that hip-hop has been one of the most culturally important artistic movements for over 50 years now. Never in my life did I envision a hip-hop song as abrasive, as confrontational, as hilarious and authentic to win these kinds of awards. And it goes a long way to proving what Kendrick Lamar has always seen himself as, the biggest underground rapper of all time.
That's special to me. All we ever wanted was to be the biggest underground artist of all time, and I finally found imperfection with this album, so I appreciate y'all. I love y'all.
And that's the energy he brought with him to this year's Super Bowl halftime show, the biggest sporting event in America where all eyes are on him. There are several important contextual factors that make this particular performance one of the most anticipated in recent history. Kendrick is of course off the back of his GNX album. As previously mentioned, he just swept the Grammys, and the high profile beef with Drake is still fresh in everyone's mind. On top of that, Not Like Us is currently the subject of a defamation lawsuit from Drake himself, where he claims the song did him emotional, financial and reputational harm. The timing of the lawsuit was of course very strategic, being filed just weeks before Kendrick was due to perform at the Super Bowl. And in more general terms, Kendrick has been lauded as one of the best live performers in today's age. His live works tend to be ambitious, idiosyncratic, and full of crazy symbolism open to interpretation. However, in this era of his career, Kendrick is at his most playful and confrontational. The era of GNX is very different from the overtly political To Pimp a Butterfly from a decade ago. Kendrick said in an interview with Timothy Chalamet, of all people, just before the Super Bowl, that he's obsessed with the present.
So, to be real, man, I'm infatuated with like the now. Like, I look at the present day and I see the goals that I sought out and that I accomplished.
And the approach to his Super Bowl performance is proof of that. Instead of littering the setlist with long beloved fan favorites, kind of like a legacy artist reveling in the past, Kendrick chose to be in the present, in the here and now. It would have been very easy to play the familiar hits, play Swimming Pools, play Money Trees, play King Kunta, play Mad City and so on. To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid Mad City are two of the most widely beloved albums in hip-hop history and solidified Kendrick as one of the greats. So of course, he chose to do exactly 0 songs from either album. So let's get to the actual performance. It opens with these 4 separate stages in the shape of PlayStation buttons, it seems, seemingly being randomized as Samuel L. Jackson of all people acts as our MC. He introduces himself as Uncle Sam and how this is the great American game before the music begins. Now, if you know Kendrick's music, you'll know he's used Uncle Sam as a character before. Most notably on Wesley's Theory, where he raps from the perspective of Uncle Sam as the living embodiment of capitalism, hell-bent on manipulating and exploiting Kendrick's art and expression for cash.
40 acres and a mule, a piano, a guitar, anything. Say my name is Uncle Sam on your dog. Motherfucker, you can live at the mall.
The Uncle Sam of Wesley's Theory encourages Kendrick to spend beyond his means, get himself into debt, and characterizes this Uncle Sam figure as a devil, essentially. Also worth noting is that Kendrick physically embodies the Uncle Sam figure in the music video for Free, a song explicitly about the violent, opportunistic, and competition-driven nature of capitalism, and particularly how that intersects with African Americans. The great American game in the context of the Super Bowl is football, of course, but in the context of Kendrick's career, that game is the game of art, of expression, and how to navigate that art within an uber-capitalist society like America. So how does Kendrick respond to Uncle Sam? By attempting to rebel, of course. Kendrick opens up arguably the biggest performance of his career with a song that technically doesn't even exist. It's the extended version of the snippet we got during the teaser for GNX before the album came out. In a stark contrast to the last time he stood on top of a car during a performance, Protest has now been swapped out for Revolution. Started with nothing but government cheese, but now I can seize the government too, he says as a seemingly infinite posse of dancers dressed in red, white and blue emerge from his GNX together. Kendrick then stands up to echo the words of Gil Scott-Heron by stating,
The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy.
Laced into that is a whole heap of things, of course. If you've heard Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, you'll know that Kendrick made an explicit point to dismantle the so-called savior perception that he had, shattering the illusion of this holier-than-thou type figure that had been placed upon him. The album ended with him saying in no uncertain terms, I choose me, and sorry I didn't save the world, my friend, I was too busy building mine again. But more importantly, as I previously mentioned, the pivot has been from protest to revolution. As GNX points to, sometimes revolt and violence is the way. The wrong guy in this context is the wrong guy to deliver sanitized, palatable talking points. The right time is, of course, a reference to the current US political climate, particularly the US election where Donald Trump stormed to victory and is pushing publicly acceptable discourse even further to the right, more so than we thought even possible. You can't ignore the context of Donald Trump, a person Kendrick has been outspoken about on several occasions, being in the middle of a ridiculous anti-DI program that will affect people just like Kendrick. That person being in attendance can't be ignored. It's no coincidence, therefore, that the next song is Squabble Up, one of the most West Coast, in-your-face songs on GNX. Important to note is how fluid, freeform, and expressive all of the dancers are during this section. It feels like an extension of the interpretive dancing we saw in the Not Like Us music video. We then get all the dancers marching in formation, about to squabble, of course, before Uncle Sam comes back in to reprimand Kendrick for how he started his show. He calls it too loud, too reckless, and too ghetto, which was basically Kendrick in real time predicting the commentary from conservative Americans to his performance. It's effectively a commentary on the commentary of his art. Uncle Sam then questions Kendrick. He says, "Do you know how to play the game? Then tighten up." Kendrick responds by displaying that he knows exactly how to play the game by giving the people what they want. He goes on to play Humble, one of his most well-known, biggest ever radio hits. His dancers are now all in unison, dancing with minimalist, military-style precision. They make the briefest of brief black power salutes before sharply whipping their hands back to their sides and back into position. You might call it a reach, but this feels like a commentary on what the public expects of black performers. Conservative America generally doesn't want to hear about the plight of black people when they consume entertainment. Of course, they remain more than happy when said entertainment created by black people is palatable or just fun. After his famous BET performance where Kendrick literally just said, "We hate the popo," Fox News went on a crazy tirade against him with some of the most outlandish comments you'll ever hear.
Probably not helpful with those song lyrics.
To say the least, not helpful at all. This is why I say that hip-hop has done more damage to young African Americans than racism in recent years.
Kendrick responded, of course, by incorporating that into his music.
This is why I say that hip-hop has done more damage to young African Americans than racism in recent years.
Of course, the imagery of red and blue together should not be lost on people, when Kendrick literally last summer had both Bloods and Crips dancing together on stage. But also, of course, the overt reference to the American flag, importantly entirely constructed by fellow African Americans, furthering the idea that a core foundation of the country is the contribution of black people throughout its history. The performance recontextualizes Humble in a whole new light, turning it into a satirical anthem for Kendrick to get in line, so to speak. Importantly, after this song, the dancers split off into two opposing sections, furthering the idea that capitalist and conservative America thrives when minority groups are divided. As Kendrick goes into DNA, another one of his biggest smash hits. I was not expecting the next song at all, where Kendrick abruptly cuts short DNA to get into a section of Euphoria during one of its loudest, most bombastic sections. I do have to take a moment to give flowers to the dancers, all the performers, and the choreography, because the level of precision and timing here is so intricate, I can't even imagine how much work went into this. Kendrick then performs a section of Man at the Garden, a song I never would have envisioned him performing at the Super Bowl. The imagery in this section is strikingly similar to one of the early PG Lang promotional teasers from 2020, as Kendrick raps some of his most confrontational raps on a literal street corner. The stripped back, almost tribal instrumental, which is nothing like the album version at all, is just another super creative way of recontextualizing his music. Importantly, Man at the Garden includes the line, "Flip a coin, do you want the dangerous me or the famous me?" during a performance where we kind of get the best of both from Kendrick. I've said it time and time again, but Kendrick has always been obsessed with duality, and this is that same sentiment just on a much grander scale. Uncle Sam comes back into comment on the preceding section, saying that he brought the homeboys with him, the old culture cheat code. Again, a blatant commentary on America's relationship to black art, too often stereotypically labeled as too loud and too aggressive. As this is a game, according to Uncle Sam, Kendrick is deducted one life. Kendrick pushes back with one of the most aggressive and overly braggadocious songs on GNX, Peekaboo, the kind of song Uncle Sam would rather Kendrick didn't play at the Super Bowl in front of Donald Trump. But Kendrick persists, and it's no coincidence that his dances are once again free-form, fluid, and expressive in a stark contrast to the humble section. The way Kendrick pops up to Peekaboo at the camera is also hilarious. The whole section is a clear rebuttal to Uncle Sam claiming that the previous song and performance was too ghetto. Kendrick responds with a show of unity and togetherness. Kendrick then breaks the fourth wall by addressing what almost every fan was thinking throughout the show. Will he perform Not Like Us? He states that, "I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love to sue." As small sections of the beat play and that devilish grin comes out. At this point, even though it's a tease, we know that the song is actually coming. In the event Kendrick wouldn't play it, it wouldn't even be referenced, but was there really any universe where Not Like Us did not play? Kendrick hesitates, saying he wants to slow it down. At this point, it sounds like Uncle Sam believes he's about to play Not Like Us, where he proclaims "You've lost your damn mind," before Kendrick does slow it down with Luther. Luther is the smoothest track on GNX, but don't be fooled by its R&B style and non-explicit lyrics. The bars still have that fire and urgency of the rest of the album, but in a more overtly palatable package. This is where SZA comes in with her amazing vocals before Kendrick joins her for the duet. The dancers get back in line and in perfect formation as we transition into one of Kendrick's biggest hits alongside SZA with All the Stars. This is the section Uncle Sam wants to hear. The safe, catchy, stadium-sized songs with the belting chorus. And yet it doesn't detract from how good everything sounds. Every song, every moment here is intentional. Uncle Sam comes back to declare,
"That's what I'm talking about. That's what America wants. Nice and calm."
America wants the radio hits without the protest, without the aggression and revolutionary angle. Uncle Sam needs black expression of art to be inoffensive to the masses. He says, "You're almost there, don't mess it up," before he's interrupted by the unmistakable Not Like Us instrumental. Kendrick switches up the energy as he declares it a cultural divide and says 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than music. A reference, of course, to the attempt at providing reparations to African Americans in America after the abolition of slavery. Considering on Not Like Us, Kendrick flat out calls Drake a colonizer, it's a subtle way of reinforcing that message and hammers home the point of the song. It's bigger than Drake, it's bigger than music, it's a cultural distinction between them and us. They try to rig the game, but you can't fake influence, Kendrick says, once again pointing to the themes of authenticity laced throughout all of his music before bursting into the first verse. Pay attention to how almost all of the dancers lay dead on the floor, aside from a select few. The inner circle continues to dance as the ones who attempt to capitalize on the culture do not. Then comes maybe the most memorable section of the entire performance, as Kendrick looks dead in the camera with a smile as he raps,
Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You bet like ever go to Cell Block 1.
as the dancers interpret the lyrics. I need to step back here again, and I think I've been saying this almost every week for the last year. I need to put this in context. Within the space of a week, Kendrick swept the Grammys, got on stage at the Super Bowl, looked directly into the homes of almost everyone in America to say, "Drake, I hear you like them young." What? Most of the lyrics remain untouched aside from the swearing, the profanity, but Kendrick does choose to omit the PDF lyric. Now, considering songs at the Super Bowl always need to be censored and he hasn't cursed throughout the show, I think the PDF line probably would have been omitted regardless of the lawsuit, but the fact that he's even performing the song at all is a testament to Kendrick standing by his art and putting the millionth nail into this coffin. Then, just like at the Grammys, the entire crowd sings the A minor bar in another moment that will undoubtedly go down in music history. Then, out of nowhere, Serena fucking Williams pops up to crip walk to Not Like Us. What the fuck? Significant for a few reasons. One, it's Serena Williams, one of the greatest sports people America has ever produced. Two, Serena Williams caught flack for dancing / crip walking in 2012 at Wimbledon. She faced similar criticism to what Kendrick faced after his BET performance. 3, Drake and Serena Williams have a complicated past, rumored to have been dating at a point.
No, I get heavy on a couple drugs, but this is more about me and Serena, so I gathered that.
And with Drake taking shots at Serena and her partner on previous songs. 4, Kendrick directly addressed this in the lyrics to Not Like Us by rapping, "You better not speak on Serena." And 5, Serena Williams is also from Compton. There's layers. Kendrick then transitions into his final song as he states a few of his monikers like OK Llama, Kendrick Lamar, and Mr. Morale to hammer home the point that he's neither the overtly confrontational, aggressive street rapper or the pop star capable of smash hits. He's both at the same time. Mustard comes out to get his well-deserved flowers as the second half of TV Off plays, and Kendrick ends his verse with the most fitting bar. Walk in New Orleans with the etiquette of LA yelling Mustard, as Mustard is literally standing right next to him. Kendrick ends the show by figuratively and literally turning the TV off as he declares game over. The game of the performance is done, the game of having to water down his art is done, the game of the beef is done. He hasn't necessarily defeated Uncle Sam, he's just said fuck you to him. And that's where we end. All that packed into just over 13 minutes of hip-hop, performance art, social critique, and ridiculously precise choreography. Laced into the show is Kendrick's laser focus for storytelling, not just through his lyrics, but used in the context of his very performance to tell a self-referential, timely story about art, capitalism, and black excellence. Is there a more fitting stage to do so than at the Super Bowl, one of the biggest examples of excess wealth in America? Probably not, in my opinion. And the setlist and show points to the fact that Kendrick continues to do things on his terms. It wasn't a run through of his biggest hits, nor was it the most over-the-top, bombastic, loudest thing imaginable. It was Kendrick and his team with a clear artistic goal and vision, executed exactly how they wanted it. It stuck true to the ethos of authenticity, peppering in so much imagery for us to take apart and come back to for a long, long time.